Ursula Hilaria Celia de la Caridad Cruz Alfonso, known as Celia Cruz, was a Cuban-American singer and one of the most popular Latin artists of the 20th century. Cruz rose to fame in Cuba during the 1950s as a singer of guarachas, earning the nickname, La Guarachera de Cuba. In the following decades, she became known internationally as the Queen of Salsa, due to her contributions to Latin music in the United States. She began her career in her native Cuba, earning recognition as a vocalist of the popular musical group Sonora Matancera, a musical association that lasted 15 years. Cruz mastered a wide variety of Afro-Cuban music styles including guaracha, rumba, afro, son and bolero, recording numerous singles in these styles for Seco Records. In 1960, after the Cuban Revolution caused the nationalization of the music industry, Cruz left her native country, becoming one of the symbols and spokespersons of the Cuban community in exile. Cruz continued her career, first in Mexico, and then in the United States, the country that she took as her definitive residence. In the 1960s, she collaborated with Tito Puente, recording her signature tune, Bemba Calora. In the 1970s, she signed for Fania Records and became strongly associated with the salsa genre, releasing hits such as Quimbara. She often appeared live with Fania All-Stars and collaborated with Johnny Pacheco and Willie Colon. During the last years of her career, Cruz continued to release successful songs such as La Vida es un Carnaval and La Negra tiene tumbao. Her musical legacy is made up of a total of 37 studio albums, as well as numerous live albums and collaborations. Throughout her career, she was awarded numerous prizes and distinctions, including 2 Grammy Awards and 3 Latin Grammy Awards. In addition to her prolific career in music, Cruz also made several appearances as an actress in movies and telenovelas. Her catchphrase, Azucar, has become one of the most recognizable symbols of salsa music. Early life. Ursula Hilaria Celia de la Caridad Cruz Alfonso was born on 21 October 1925, at 47 Serrano Street in the Santos Suarez neighborhood of Havana, Cuba. Her father, Simón Cruz, was a railway stoker, and her mother, Catalina Alfonso Ramos, a housewife who took care of an extended family. Celia was one of the eldest among 14 children, including her 3 siblings, Dolores, Gladys and Barbaro, and she used to sing cradle songs to put them to sleep. According to her mother, she began singing as a child at 9 or 10 months of age, often in the middle of the night. She also sang in school during the Fridays Actos Cívicos and in her neighborhood ensemble, Botín de Oro. While growing up in Cuba's diverse 1930s musical climate, Cruz listened to many musicians who influenced her adult career, including Fernando Collazo, Abelardo Barroso, Pablo Quevedo, Antonio Arcaño and Arsenio Rodriguez. Despite her father's opposition and the fact that she was Catholic, as a child Cruz learned Santeria songs from her neighbor who practiced Santeria. Cruz also studied the words to Yoruba songs with colleague Merceditas Valdez from Cuba and later made various recordings of this religious genre, even singing backup for other female Akpuans like Candida Batista. As a teenager, her aunt took her and her cousin to cabarets to sing, but her father encouraged her to attend school in the hope she would become a teacher. After high school, she attended the normal school for teachers in Havana with the intent of becoming a literature teacher. At the time, being a singer was not viewed as an entirely respectable career. However, one of her teachers told her that, as an entertainer, she could earn in one day what most Cuban teachers earned in a month. From 1947, Cruz studied music theory, voice, and piano at Havana's National Conservatory of Music. One day, her cousin took her to Havana's radio station Radio Garcia Serra, where she became a contestant in the Hora del Té amateur radio program. It was her first time using a microphone and she sang the tango, Nostalgia, winning a cake as the first prize for her performance. On other occasions she won silver chains, as well as opportunities to participate in more contests. She also sang in other amateur radio programs such as La Suprema Corte del Arte, broadcast by CMQ, always winning first prize. The only exception was when she competed against Vilma Valle, having to split their earnings, $25 each. In 2004, the Miami Herald revealed from partially declassified U.S. State Department papers that Cruz had been linked to Cuba's pre-revolution Communist Party, the Popular Socialist Party, as early as the 1940s. The article, promoted as an exclusive, was written by Miami Herald journalist Carol Rosenberg from Freedom of Information Act requests. It made several revelations. Among them, that the U.S. Embassy in Havana denied Cruz a U.S. visa in 1952 and 1955 because of suspected communist affiliations. The article also states that Cruz had joined the youth wing of the PSP at age 20 and had used a concert to arrange a secret meeting with communists in South America on behalf of its then General Secretary, Blas Roca Calderio, who was also founded the party in 1925. Cruz had also signed a public letter in support of one of the party's front groups, the Pro-Peace Congress. The article states that Cruz's surviving husband, Pedro Knight, was asked about this, and is quoted, "He knew nothing about it. She never told me about that. She never talked about politics." The article quotes Knight. Career first recordings. Iselina Carrillo was one of the first people to recognize Cruz's ability to sing Afro-Cuban music and asked her to join her Conjunto Siboney, where Olga Guillot also sang. She later joined Orquestra de Ernesto Duarte, Gloria Matancera, Sonora Caracas and Orquestra Anacaona. From 1947, she started to sing in Havana's most popular cabarets, Tropicana, San Souci, Bamboo, Topeka, etc. In 1948, Roderico Rodney Nera founded the group of dancers and singers Las Mulatas de Fuego. Cruz was hired with this group as a singer, reaching great success and making presentations in Mexico and Venezuela, where she made her first recordings. Shortly thereafter, Cruz began to sing on musical programs at Radio Cadena Suaritos, along with a group that performed Santeria music under the direction of Obdulio Morales. With this group, known as Coro Yoruba y Tambors Bata, she made several recordings that were later released by Panart. Sonora Matancera. Cruz's big break came in 1950 when Myrta Silva, the singer with Cuba's Sonora Matancera, returned to her native Puerto Rico. Since they were in need of a new singer, the band decided to give the young Celia Cruz a chance. She auditioned in June, and at the end of July she was asked to join as lead singer, and thus became the group's first black frontwoman. In her first rehearsal with Sonora Matancera, Cruz met her future husband Pedro Knight, who was the band's second trumpeter. Cruz debuted with the group on 3 August 1950. Initially, Cruz was not received with enthusiasm by the public, but Rogelio Martinez had faith in her. On 15 December 1950, Cruz recorded her first songs with the group, which were a resounding success. Her musical marriage with the Sonora Matancera lasted 15 years. In total, Celia recorded 188 songs with the Matancera, including hits such as Sao Sao Mani Picao, Mata Siguraya, Burundanga, and El Yerbero Moderno. She won her first gold record for Burundanga, making her first trip to the United States in 1957 to receive the award and to perform at St. Nicholas Arena, New York. During her 15 years with Sonora Matancera, she appeared in cameos in some Mexican films such as Rincón Criollo, Una Galega en la Habana and Amorcito Corazon, toured all over Latin America and became a regular at the Tropicana. Exile and Tico recordings. On 15 July 1960, following the Cuban Revolution, a contract for Sonora Matancera in Mexico arose. Cruz never imagined that she would never set foot on Cuban soil again. The new Cuban regime disapproved of the group accepting offers to work abroad, specifically in the United States. Thus, the Castro regime arbitrarily forbade her to return to Cuba. When she completed a month of stay in Mexico, she received the news of the death of her father Simón Cruz. In 1961, Cruz and Sonora Matancera left Mexico for an engagement in the United States. During this period, Cruz began performing solo without the group, performing at a recital at the Hollywood Palladium in Los Angeles. In 1962, before the refusal of the Cuban government to allow her to return to Cuba, Cruz acquired a house in New York. Although she tried to return to Cuba to see her sick mother, who was struggling with terminal bladder cancer, the Cuban government denied her request to return. On 7 April 1962, she received the news of the death of her mother Catalina Alfonso. That same year, on 14 July, Cruz was married in civil ceremony with Pedro Knight after a romance of several years. Cruz and Sonora Matancera made their first tour outside of the Americas, visiting Europe and Japan, where they performed with Tito Puente. In 1965, Cruz would culminate a vertiginous 15 years with the Sonora Matancera. Cruz began a solo career and her husband Pedro Knight decided to leave his position at Sonora Matancera to become her representative, arranger and personal director. During this time, Cruz became an American citizen. In 1966, Cruz was contacted by Tito Puente to perform with his orchestra. Their first collaborative album, Sun con Guaguanco, featured a recording of José Claro Fumero's Guaracha, Bemba Calora, which became one of Cruz's signature songs. Cruz and Puente went on to collaborate on another 4 albums together. She also recorded albums with other musical directors such as Memo Salamanca, Juan Bruno Terraza and Lino Frias for Tico Records. In 1974, Fania Records, the leading salsa record label, acquired Tico and signed Cruz to the imprint Via Records, where she remained until 1992. The Fania years. Cruz's association with the Fania label had begun in 1973, when she recorded the lead vocals of Gracia Divina, a song by Larry Harlow which was part of his Latin opera, Hami. She then joined the Fania All-Stars, a salsa supergroup featuring the most popular performers of the Fania roster. With them, Cruz first sang Bemba Calora and Diosa del Ritmo in San Juan, Puerto Rico in 1973. She later traveled with the group to Kinshasa, Zaire in 1974 and returned to San Juan in 1975 for another concert. These live recordings were commercially released years later. Her performance in Zaire, as part of the Rumble in the Jungle event, was included in the film Soul Power. Cruz recorded her first studio album for Fania in 1974 in collaboration with Johnny Pacheco, the owner of the label. The album, Celia and Johnny, and its lead single, Quimbara, were both a commercial success. In 1976, she participated in the documentary film Salsa about Latin culture, along with figures like Dolores Del Rio and Willie Colon. The following year she recorded her first LP with Colon, a collaboration that would be repeated with great success in 1981 and 1987. When touring with Colon, Cruz wore a flamboyant costume, which included various colored wigs, tight sequin dresses, and very high heels. Her fashion style became so famous that one of them was acquired by the Smithsonian Institution. In the late 1970s, she participated in an Eastern Airlines commercial in Puerto Rico, singing the catchy phrase "Esto sí es volar." Cruz also used to sing the identifying spot for WQBA radio station in Miami, formerly known as La Cubanísima, "I am the voice of Cuba, from this land, far away. I am liberty, I am WQBA, the most Cuban." In 1982, Celia was reunited with the Sonora Matancera and recorded the album Feliz Encuentro. That year, the singer received the first tribute of her career at Madison Square Garden in New York. In 1987, Cruz performed a concert in Santa Cruz de Tenerife. That concert was recognized by the publisher of the Guinness Book of Records as the largest free-entry outdoor concert, with an audience of 250,000 people. In 1988, she participated in the feature film Salsa alongside Robbie Draco Rosa. In 1990, Cruz won her first Grammy Award for her album Ritmo en el Corazón, recorded with Ray Barretto. She was also invited to celebrate the 65th anniversary of the Sonora Matancera in Central Park in New York. The decline of Fania's brand of salsa dura in favor of the emergent salsa romantica gradually brought an end to Celia's musical association with the Fania All-Stars. Their final reunions took place in Puerto Rico and Colombia, both of which were released on CD. Later years in 1990, Cruz managed to return to Cuba. She was invited to make a presentation at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base. When she came out of this presentation, she took in a bag a few grams of earth from Cuba, the same one she asked to be placed in her coffin when she died. In 1994, she received the National Endowment for the Arts Award from the then President Bill Clinton, which is the highest recognition granted by the United States government to an artist. Although she had previously made musical presentations in Mexican and Cuban films, in 1992 Celia debuted as an actress in the American film Mambo Kings, along with Armand Asante and Antonio Banderas. A year later she made her debut as a television actress in the Mexican telenovela Valentina, along with Veronica Castro for the Televisa network. In 1995, Celia made a guest appearance in the American film The Perez Family, along with Alfred Molina and Angelica Houston. In 1997, she starred again for Televisa in the Mexican telenovela El Alma no tiene color, a remake of the classic Mexican film Angelitos Negros. Cruz played the role of a black woman who gives birth to a white daughter. On 25 October 1997, the city of San Francisco, California, officially declared that date as Celia Cruz Day. In 1998, she released the album Mi Vida es Cantar, which featured one of her most successful songs, La Vida es un Carnaval. In 1999, she performed with Luciano Pavarotti for the Pavarotti and Friends concert. In 2000, Cruz released a new album under the auspices of Sony Music, Celia Cruz and Friends, A Night of Salsa, where she recorded again with Tito Puente, who died shortly after. Thanks to this album, Cruz was awarded her first Latin Grammy. In 2001, the album Siempre Viviré makes her the creditor of her second Latin Grammy. In that same year, she performed with Marc Anthony and a tribute to Aretha Franklin for VH1. In 2002, Cruz released the album, La Negra Tiene Tumbao, where she ventured into modern variants of Caribbean rhythms, influenced by rap and hip-hop. For this record she won her third Latin Grammy and her second American Grammy. On 16 July 2002, Cruz performed to a full house at the free outdoor performing arts festival Central Park Summer Stage in New York City. During the performance she sang, Bemba Calora. A live recording of this song was subsequently made available in 2005 on a commemorative CD honoring the festival's then 20-year history entitled, Central Park Summer Stage, Live from the Heart of the City. Cruz appeared on the Dionne Warwick albums Dionne Sings Dionne and My Friends and Me with their Latin duet version of San Jose. Death in August and September 2002, Cruz underwent surgery due to breast cancer. In November that year, Cruz fell during a concert in Mexico. She was diagnosed with glioma, an aggressive form of brain cancer, and underwent surgery in December. Confident, Cruz said she did not shed one tear and that she was aiming to resume her artistic career. She finished recording her last album, Regalo del Alma. In February, she appeared in public again at the 45th Annual Grammy Awards to receive the award for Best Salsa Album. In March 2003, she was paid tribute by the U.S. Hispanic network Telemundo. The event, titled Celia Cruz, Azucar, involved figures such as Gloria Estefan, Marc Anthony, La India, Gloria Gaynor and Patti LaBelle among others. This was her last public appearance. On the afternoon of 16 July 2003, Cruz died at her home in Fort Lee, New Jersey, at the age of 77. At her express wish, her mortal remains were first transferred to Miami for 2 days to receive the homage of her Cuban exile admirers, returning and finally resting in the Woodlawn Cemetery in the Bronx, New York. An epilogue in her autobiography notes that, in accordance with her wishes, Cuban soil which she had saved from a visit to Guantanamo Bay was used in her entombment. Tributes and legacy. Cruz's legacy has been honored since years before her death, including a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the asteroid name 5212 Celia Cruz, the Excellence Awards at the 1990 Lo Nuestro Awards, and Celia Cruz Way in Miami. She was also recognized with a star on Boulevard Amador Bendayan in Caracas, Venezuela, and a figure in the Hollywood Wax Museum. Besides, Cruz received 3 honoris causa doctorates from 3 universities in the United States: Yale University, Florida International University and University of Miami. Cruz, along with fellow Afro-Cuban musician Cachao, were inducted into the Billboard Latin Music Hall of Fame in 1994. She was also inducted into the International Latin Music Hall of Fame in 1999. In the same year, she was presented with the ASCAP Latin Heritage Award, becoming the first recipient of the accolade. Through a formidable work ethic, Cruz rose to the very top in her genre. In February 2004, her last album, Regalo del Alma, she won a posthumous award at the Premios Lo Nuestro for Best Salsa Release of the Year. It was announced in December 2005 that a musical called Azucar would open in Tenerife before touring the world. The name comes from Cruz's well-known catchphrase of Azucar. In 2003, a music school was opened in the Bronx, named the Celia Cruz Bronx High School of Music. Pedro Knight visited this school before his death to meet the students and share stories about her life. On June 4, 2004, the heavily Cuban-American community of Union City, New Jersey heralded its annual Cuban Day Parade by dedicating its new Celia Cruz Park, which features a sidewalk star in her honor, at 31st Street and Bergenline Avenue, with Cruz's widower, Pedro Knight, present. There are 4 other similar dedications to Cruz around the world. Cruz's star has expanded into Union City's Walk of Fame, as new marble stars are added each spring to honor Latin entertainment and media personalities, such as merengue singer Hazaida Mateo, salsa singer La India, Cachao, Cuban tenor Benny Moré, Tito Puente, Spanish-language television news anchor Rafael Pineda, salsa pioneer Johnny Pacheco, singer, bandleader Gilberto Santa Rosa and music promoter Ralph Mercado. On 18 May 2005, the National Museum of American History, administered by the Smithsonian Institution and located in Washington, D.C., opened Azucar, an exhibit celebrating the life and music of Celia Cruz. The exhibit highlights important moments in Cruz's life and career through photographs, personal documents, costumes, videos, and music. Her biography Celia, Mi Vida was also published in 2005, based on more than 500 hours of interviews with the Mexican journalist Ana Cristina Raimundo. The journalist and TV presenter Cristina Saralegui planned to take the story of her life to the cinema, and the American actress Whoopi Goldberg, admirer of the singer, expressed her interest in representing her, but the project was cancelled. From 26 September 2007 to 25 May 2008, Celia, a musical based on the life of Celia Cruz, played at the off-Broadway venue New World Stages. The show won 4 2008 OLA Awards from the Hispanic Organization of Latin Actors. On 16 March 2011, Celia Cruz was honored by the United States Postal Service with a commemorative postage stamp. The Cruz stamp was one of a group of 5 stamps honoring Latin music greats, also including Selena, Tito Puente, Carmen Miranda, and Carlos Gardel. The Smithsonian's National Museum of American History collaborated with photographer Robert Weingarten to create an object-based portrait of Celia Cruz featuring artifacts in the museum. The portrait was unveiled on 3 October 2012. On 21 October 2013, Google honored her with a Google Doodle. Jennifer Lopez honored Cruz with her presentation at the 41st American Music Award ceremony. The singers Yuri, La India, Maluma and Aimee Nuviola did the same at the Latin American Music Awards. Also in 2013, Cruz was inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. In October 2015, Telemundo premiered an 80-episode docudrama based on Cruz's life, Celia. In 2015, the television networks RCN Television and Telemundo made the Celia a TV series, based on the life of Celia Cruz. Celia was played by the actresses Jamie Osorio and Aimee Nuviola and counted on the voice of Patty Padilla. In 2019, Angelique Kidjo released a tribute album to Cruz, entitled Celia, including songs spanning all of Celia's Cruz career reinvented with an Afrobeat feel. It features Tony Allen, Michelle Ndegeocello and the Gangbei Brass Band. In 2018, a monument to Celia Cruz was unveiled in the Cuban Heritage Park in Hialeah, Florida. Also in 2018, the Celia Cruz estate launched a brand inspired by Cruz which featured merchandise inspired and about Cruz. In 2019, Chilean-American poet Marjorie Agosin created a chamber music theater performance titled, Las Magnificas, based on the life of Celia Cruz and Chilean singer-songwriter Violeta Parra. On June 2, 2021, the City of New York honored Celia Cruz by co-naming the intersection of Reservoir Avenue and East 195th Street in the Kingsbridge Heights section of the Bronx, near the high school that is named in her honor, Celia Cruz Way.